My name is Reverend Shelley Walker, and my pronouns are she, her, and it is a joy to be in spiritual community this day in person and online as we remember once again the sacred truth of who we are. Today we gather as grateful hearts and awakened minds and willing spirits. And today we are turning to a spiritual practice that is both ancient and urgent. It is simple and it is profound. Today's talk is titled Grateful for This. Not grateful for what was, or for what we hope will be, or for what we wish we had happened instead. No, grateful for this moment, this breath, this life, this community, this messy, beautiful, holy, ordinary, and extraordinary world that we're living in right now. And I know that some days this feels like a lot. Some days this feels like too much. Some days my this is a teacher I didn't ask for, didn't schedule into my calendar, and I did not feel prepared to meet. But what if this, whatever this is in your life today, it's also the doorway to your awakening? What if this, the challenging, the ordinary, the joyful, the painful, the unexpected teacher, the perfectly imperfect, what if this is exactly where gratitude is asking to be born? So gratitude is not about pretending that everything is fine. Gratitude is about remembering that the presence of divine love is here too, in this, right here, right now. So I wanted to start today talking about the science of gratitude. I love that science is starting to catch up to what mystics and sages have been saying for centuries. So I'm going to tell you 4 things that science is showing us about gratitude. Number 1, gratitude changes the brain. So neuroscience shows that when we practice gratitude consistently, the brain begins to rewire itself. Brain scans reveal that increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, that's the part of our brains that is associated with emotional regulation and decision-making and empathy, right? So brain scans show that when we are genuinely feeling grateful, there's more activity in the part of our brain that houses empathy and decision-making. It strengthens our neural pathways for optimism, resilience, and joy. So Dr. Rick Hanson is a psychologist, author, and neuroscientist that I follow. He's known for his work on positive neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is basically the fact that our gray matter is changeable. It's plastic, like Play-Doh. Neuroplasticity. And so he's a neuroscientist known for his work in neuroplasticity, which involves training the brain to increase well-being. And he's one of the scientists at Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center that I follow. And after looking at the research, this is what he said. What you rest your attention on, you strengthen. That's what neuroscience said. There's an old New Thought truism, as my dad would say, that says what you focus on grows. Same. When we focus on gratitude, science and spirituality both say life gets better. Studies also show that gratitude stimulates the release of dopamine and serotonin. And oh man, isn't this life a chase after dopamine and serotonin? because these two brain chemicals are our body's natural antidepressants. They don't just make us feel good, they reorient our nervous system towards safety and possibility. So this is what neuroscience says about gratitude. That's number one. Number two, science is showing us that gratitude actually reduces stress, and here's how. Research shows that when we consciously name something we're grateful for, especially something tiny, like the feel of sunlight on your skin, or waking up to your first foggy morning of fall, the amygdala actually quiets down when you name something you are consciously grateful for. The amygdala, which houses the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn center of the brain, it actually softens. It physically softens when we are in conscious gratitude. So gratitude, it turns out, acts like a spiritual and biological reset button. Number three, gratitude has been shown to boost physical well-being. People who practice gratitude regularly sleep better, praise God, sleep better, have improved immune response, lower inflammation, lower blood pressure, and greater vitality. Gratitude improves our physical body. And number four, it turns out gratitude builds connection. Studies reveal that expressing gratitude out loud in writing, even silently towards another person, creates a resonance of trust. It deepens relationships, it improves communication, it increases generosity. We literally become more cooperative, compassionate, and attuned with each other when we lead with gratitude. So gratitude improves our mental, emotional, and physical bodies, as well as our relationships. This is how important gratitude is. Isn't it amazing? Science says gratitude heals us from the inside out, and spirit says, well, of course it does. Around here, we know that gratitude isn't just positive thinking. It isn't a spiritual sticker that we slap on painful experiences. It isn't bypass, and it isn't pretending. Gratitude is recognition. Recognition of the presence of the divine. Recognition of the infinite. Recognition of the truth that is the foundation of everything. As Meister Eckhart famously said, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. And I love that quote, but I want to add something to it. There's an important understanding here. Thank you isn't enough because God needs it. It's enough because we do. Gratitude isn't for God, y'all. Gratitude is for us. It reminds us of who we are. When life gets difficult, gratitude brings us home. When life is beautiful, gratitude keeps us awake. When life is ordinary, gratitude reveals the miracle. And when life feels messy, gratitude finds that thread of the holy that is woven through it all. And I know that it's easy to be grateful when the blessings are shimmering and obvious and wrapped in bows. But what about when the family gatherings are complicated? When the world feels heavy, or when your to-do list is longer than your energy? Or the holidays amplify loss more than joy? What about this? This grief, this uncertainty, this overwhelm. What about this moment that might not feel like a blessing yet? I want to tell you something true. I do not believe that gratitude is meant to combat or erase pain. Gratitude, I believe, helps us to hold it. in a healthy way. Gratitude isn't a denial of suffering. It is an expansion of our capacity to be present with all of life. It widens our heart so that we can feel the fullness of the experience without drowning in the experience. To be grateful for this does not mean that we approve of everything that is happening. Thank God. It means that we remain open to what Spirit can do through what is happening. Last week in our conversation on oneness, we talked about asking for help. And I want to bring that forward today because gratitude and asking for help go hand in hand, but in a way that might surprise you. Because gratitude doesn't require us to be superhuman. Gratitude requires us to be willing to pause, willing to listen, and willing to lean into the unseen support that is right here with us. The truth is that we're never alone in our experience, our ancestors, angels, intuition, that one infinite power that breathes us are always available. And gratitude, this is so important, gratitude is one of the ways that we attune our hearing, not our ear hearing, our inner hearing, so that we can hear the guidance that is being offered, so that we can receive the help that is being offered. So when we say thank you before the blessing even arrives, we aren't like trying to manipulate or convince God to do something. That's not what it's about. What we're doing is we are aligning ourselves with the good. We are aligning ourselves with that flow, that current of good that is always flowing. So when we start with gratitude, we're actually opening the channel. We are widening the container. We're anchoring ourselves in a frequency where clarity, resilience, and support can reach us. So I couldn't help myself. I made a list of 3 tools to help us remember gratitude, especially when it's hard. Number 1, and I think this one's my favorite, micro-gratitude. We talked a little bit about it earlier. Micro-gratitude is the practice of noticing the smallest possible good. The warmth of the tea mug in your hands, one of my favorites. When a stranger smiles at you in the grocery store parking lot. When you're the stranger that smiles in the grocery store parking lot. A color that delights you. A moment of silence. I'm grateful for this. Micro-gratitude is powerful because it is always available. And here's the thing, micro-gratitudes interrupt the brain's negativity bias. Did you know that your brain has a negativity bias? Some of you are like, oh, Lordy, yes, I did. I did know that, Reverend Shelley. Well aware. Here's the thing. Our brains, very rightfully so, spend a lot of time scanning for danger, tigers that might get us, right? And there are parts of our brain where that is actually their job to keep us safe. And these parts of our brains may not realize that the world has changed a lot in the last 200 years. So when we choose gratitude, micro-gratitude even, it interrupts the negativity bias that our brains are wired for. So it builds the muscle of being able to notice the good, and it reconnects us to the present moment. Gratitude for this doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be honest in order to change our lives. Like right here and now, it changes lives. So that's micro-gratitude. Number 2 is the sacred pause I don't know that I've ever written a talk that hasn't talked about the sacred pause. So some of y'all have heard this before and you're about to hear it again. The most important moment is the liminal space between reaction and response. And you know this tool already. We practice it all the time in spiritual community. The sacred pause is simple. It says stop, breathe, and invite the presence of love into your awareness. Not to fix anything, just to remember in that moment. Several months ago, maybe even last year, Reverend Shannon taught us something that I practice literally every day. She taught us first thought, second thought, first action. Right? Life-changing stuff here. It's the idea that we let that first, often unconscious, rooted in our negativity, bias thought, we let that one just pass us right on by. We can notice it or not, but there it goes. We pause, we invite love to the conversation, and then we take our action from there. First thought, second thought, first action. So what happens is gratitude flows in the space of the pause because the pause is where we reconnect with source. That's that most important liminal moment. Okay, number 3, ask and then listen. Asking for help is an act of gratitude. It acknowledges I am not alone, love is here, wisdom is here, guidance is here. We ask for help and then we listen, not with our ears, but with the ear behind the ear, not with our thinking, but with our whole being, we listen. And when we ask for help and then give thanks before the help even arrives, we shift from contraction to openness, from fear to trust, from confusion to clarity. And we shift into the natural cycle of giving and receiving. Now, this time of year, we talk a lot about giving. You might have noticed our giving trees are up in the hallway. You might have heard us talking about our Caring Corner food pantry and our Feeding 40 Families project. We talk a lot about giving this time of year, about generosity, about supporting our community and our neighbors. But I really want you to hear something. Gratitude and generosity are the same energy. One is the inhale, and the other is the exhale. Gratitude says life is abundant, bring it in. And generosity says, and let it flow. Gratitude and generosity. This holiday season, we have the privilege of serving our own families right here in our community and also 40 immigrant families whom we may never meet. And we are grateful, we are so grateful for the opportunity to serve them because gratitude is never passive. Gratitude moves, it circulates, it expresses. It becomes hands and feet and smiles and meals. It becomes kindness and dignity and belonging and care. When we fill a pantry shelf, when we bring a bag of groceries, when we sponsor a family that we may never meet, we're saying, I'm grateful for this life moving through me. I'm grateful that I can give. I'm grateful for my human family. And you see, this is oneness in action. This is gratitude with legs. As the writer Melody Beatty, who's our teacher on healing codependency, says, it's my teacher on healing codependency. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. And this is the alchemy of spirit. When we lead with gratitude, life shifts around us to make room for grace. Beloveds, the invitation today is very simple. Be grateful for this. Not the perfect future you hope for, not the past that you might wish had gone differently. and especially not the version of yourself that you think you're supposed to be. No. Grateful for this life, this body, this moment. Grateful for this breath, this community, this chance to love. Grateful for this chance to love and to give and to awaken and to begin again, because gratitude reveals that, in fact, that life isn't happening to you. Life is happening with you and for you. So spirit isn't somewhere else, somehow estranged or separate from you. Spirit is right here in this. And as the wonderful Mark Nepo wrote, the way is everything that's in the way. This is the way. And gratitude helps us to navigate this. There was a time in my life when I was a very young, single mom who I was, if I was living paycheck to paycheck, it was a good month. You know what I mean? My debts were mounting, and I was struggling, and I wasn't sure about, I wasn't sure what my life was supposed to be, but I knew that it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I put my sweet baby down for a nap. And I went outside in the Texas sunshine, and I sat on a bench under his window. And I sat there long enough, and I just breathed, and I felt the sun on my face until I had a spontaneous feeling of gratitude. And I thought, there's so much in this life to be grateful for, even though I recognize it's not quite fitting me. I'm still grateful for this. And I didn't ask for anything. I didn't even know what to ask for. I just felt grateful in that moment. And I kid you not, within 5 months, I had been out of the blue given enough money to completely change my life and move across the country, and I found you. Gratitude isn't magic, but what it does is it opens us to something new, and it changes lives. Gratitude was the doorway to changing my life, even though that wasn't what I was even trying to make happen. I didn't have to. Because what I learned from that is that gratitude isn't a feeling, it's an orientation. It's a posture. It's a way of seeing the world. And when we can open ourselves to that, then we're open to the guidance and the help and the messages of love. But as long as we're remaining closed and stuck in our negativity bias, we can't hear spirit, no matter how hard it knocks. You know the divine 2x4. I've had that too. Gratitude is a much gentler way to let spirit move in our lives, my friends. Because when we practice gratitude consistently, not perfectly, just consistently, we begin to notice something miraculous. We begin to see that the blessings were actually there all along. The support was there all along. The beauty, my God, the beauty was here all along. The strength was here all along. The love was here all along. Do you know why? Because you were here all along. You, beloved, luminous, divine expression of love. You're the reason for gratitude. It's you. Not someday, not when you achieve more, not when you fix that one thing about yourself. Right now, right here, right as you are in this. So today, as we enter the Holy Day season, here we go. as we navigate the highs and the lows, as we stand in the courage to ask for the help that we may need, as we give and as we receive, as we remember the needs of our broader human family, let's say thank you for this. I'm grateful for this. And so may we walk in gratitude, may we serve in gratitude, may we breathe, may we live in gratitude, for this is the day that the divine love has made. This is the moment of awakening. This is the life that we've been given, and this is the path that we get to walk together. And I am so grateful for this. And so as we move through these coming days and weeks and months, I invite us all to orient ourselves to gratitude, because that is where grace lives in you.